सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.
You're listening to Bare Knuckle Bhakti Shorties on the Bhakti Recovery Podcast with Jiva G, coming at you every Monday with a little spiritual something. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever and whenever this is that you're listening, wherever you are and whenever this is that you're listening to. We're at step 7. We're getting there. Step 7. We humbly ask Krishna to remove our shortcomings. So we've admitted our powerlessness, our unmanageability. We've come to believe that Krishna, a power greater than ourselves, can restore us to sanity in step 2. Step 3 is that we make a conscious decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of Krishna. That means letting go and letting God. We had made that fearless and searching moral inventory in step 4. And then we step into humility and being humble. I don't mean humiliation, but the act of being humble, having some humility. And we act in that way, even if it's not in a humble way. This action helps us to understand what being humble looks like. And that's stating those things out loud to yourself, to God, and another human being. It's so important that, that fearless and thorough moral inventory that we've taken. There's so much stuff in there that might be really shameful for each and every one of us, and so much pain that it carries with us. And we all have those maybe the ones that are that burn a lot at a higher rate or a higher degree. Some of those character defects, some of them are a little less, but for me, it's also very humbling to admit that I am not almighty. In other words, that I have weak spots. And when we share those with other people, and especially when, most of these things we've never really said out loud. We never even brought them to the surface and put them on paper. We put them on paper so that we can look at them. And as we put them on paper, we're actually bringing them up to have a good look. And then when we open our mouths and say what we've never admitted to anyone else, to ourselves, to God, and another human being, that is the act of being humble. Even if it feels humiliating, it's a humble act. It's about trying to see ourselves in the right size. And then after that, after we've had a good look at them, and after we've admitted them and shared them with someone else, we become willing to give them to God. We become willing to have God remove them for us. That's like a process in itself. Because as I mentioned in the 6th step in last week's episode, is that was a survival kit for a lot of us. A lot of those quote unquote character defects were survival skills. We become ready to have God, as we understand God, to remove these defects. And then when we decide that we wanted God, Krishna, to remove them from us, we wanted him to remove all our useless and destructive aspects of our personalities. All destructive aspects, the things that are not used in the service of Krishna. And when we really want God to have remove them, then we arrive at step 7. Going through that all by ourselves is a pretty tall order. And most of us, if we didn't make a huge mess of a lot of things, that's when we realized that we couldn't do it alone, when we asked for help to get out of that mess, whatever that mess looks like. We did get that glance of humility when we said that in front of another human being, when we admitted it in front of another human being, God and ourselves, and became willing to have them removed. So, none of us are going to do this perfectly. None of us, especially in this step 7. When we humbly ask Krishna to remove our shortcomings, it's not like he's got some magic wand and it's going to be like, all right, there you go, all gone, you're free. I mean, maybe with some people, I don't know. But as far as I know, and anyone who I know, it is a gradual purification process. And the key to that is always being willing and asking. That's been the key. And humble is also really a very key word here. It's because that we approach Krishna in a way that we ask him to remove the limitations of our past, and that will actually inevitably lead us happily into the next steps and then into freedom. A lot of people are very, very, very willing to work this step without any reservations. And some people just need to do it piecemeal, which is fine. We all are on the same road. Sometimes quicker, sometimes slowly. It doesn't really matter as long as we're on that road. This is the road and the path to spiritual growth. Yeah. I'm really asking God on a daily basis to remove whatever's in my way is a big help, because if you just do that once, it's like things slip under the cracks. We have to, if we really want to be thorough, we have to be thorough. There's no half-stepping this. There aren't any half steps. Have you ever noticed the 12 steps? It's not like 1.5, 2.5. It's not like that. It's 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4. There are no half steps here. There's slow progression, but there's no half steps. Like it says in AA, half step avail is nothing. And, doing this, it's not an act of wishing. It is an act of action and prayer. And that is, for me, a daily thing. And the thing is that I wish that it would be second nature. I wish that it would be part of my DNA, so to speak. But there are too many character defects that I really love. I love getting excited and passionate about things that get me upset. I freaking love it. I get a dopamine hit from the heavens when I get angry about things. And it's not even in a really serious way. I don't mean angry like, I'm so angry. Just be like, what is this? Like the typical New York type of thing, It's not really damaging, but it's not the most loving thing. But we're really talking about things that, I think the main object, the main thing in step 7 is to get out of the way of ourselves. And striving, that's like our first real step to striving towards a higher power and the will of a higher power for us. I just think it's so important that this becomes an integral part. For me, it was the most important thing, becoming an integral part of my life. And I can't ask God to remove any of my shortcomings if I don't know them. And if I haven't done a thorough 4th and 5th step, how the heck am I going to ask God to remove things that I don't even know really exist, that have been swept under the carpet of denial? that have been ignored while I'm chanting the holy names, people. It doesn't work like that. Not for me. It just doesn't work like that. Step 7 is serious business. They say step 6 separates the men from the boys, but I'm pretty convinced that step 7 does, because the willingness is for me, it was there because I was beaten into willingness. But the actions of actually doing it, and this is just my experience, the actions of actually asking God to remove them, which means it doesn't mean, okay, I'm going to sit here and continue my behaviors and God's going to do something to stop it. That's not what that means. It means I ask him, which means I have to walk and do it. It's not like, it's like God, like it would be like this. God, I'm so thirsty and there's no water. Can you please give me water? And I know that 5 miles away, there is a well of water. It's not like God's going to like float down like a ghost and give me a bucket of water. He's like, you know where the water is. You're going to need the strength to go walk with that bucket and get that water, girl. And that's the action. It is work. So when I'm asking to have my character defects removed, I'm also asking for the footwork. That's very clear to me. And that's why it's really important to approach this with somebody who's experienced in this, because it can be very overwhelming, but it also can be very freeing. We just need to approach it at the pace that fits to us. I think as addicts, recovering addicts and alcoholics and recovering codependents and perfectionists and eating disorders and gamblers and gamers, or all these people, we have this tendency either to hide or want to get things done quick. We just want to get it done quick. I want it done yesterday. I want it to be a one and done. I want the magic solution, the magic pill, the magic anything that will erase anything that gets in the way. But I've learned that it doesn't work like that. I think I actually received a lot of grace. God removed the obsession to use. And, the footwork I did with that was to use until I couldn't use anymore. The footwork I did was destroying myself. That's part of the process. I fully am on board with that. I needed that. But it's like I do my job, God does his job. And my job is to, when I ask for something, I have to be prepared to do that. It's like, you can ask your parents for can you pay for a driver's license? Like, sure, okay, I'll pay for your driver's license. Here in Germany, it costs like 4,000 euros, believe it or not. It's insane. So for the Americans, it's not a great example, but imagine if it cost $4,000 to get a driver's license. So you can ask your parents, please, can you pay for my driver's license? But you have to sit and you have to learn, and you have to learn that. You have to learn it. You have to learn to drive. You have to learn to shift gears. You have to learn to read the signs. You have to take the written test, which, by the way, here in Germany is 1,000. You have to learn 1,000 questions, 1,000. It's not like in the States. So when you ask for something, when you want to receive something, in this case, there's a lot of work to be done. But you would be very surprised. The reciprocation from God is like, you only have to give a little and God will give everything. I know this. And when it doesn't happen like that, it's for a reason. There's a reason, because we need to learn a lesson. We need to learn by experience. And not everybody, it can't work. It's not like the process is going to be a copy paste for everyone. My process is different from someone else's. Tom, Dick, and Harry. They're going to have their process. Some of their character defects are going to be burning in hot coals, and some of mine are different that are burning hot coals. So it's really important to stick with your own. Please don't force yourself to compare yourself with someone else's process, because it's highly individual. The process of purification through the steps and through Bhakti Yoga is a formula that works. It's like the streets lined out in the city. They're there for everyone, but each and every person has to learn to drive. In any car that they receive, even if you're driving a Rolls Royce, even if you're driving a Scooty, even if you're driving a tricycle. You have to abide by the rules of those streets, or, you're getting to that one place. If you're on a Google map, you have to get to that one place. If you're walking, driving a bike, if you're driving a car, if you're flying, it doesn't really matter. So each process is different, and it's so important to know that. So each time you ask for Krishna to remove your character defects, know that there will be a lot of grace and a lot of mercy in there, but there's also footwork. There are no magic wands. And, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to renege that statement. There are a lot of damn magic wands out there, and I've had a lot of magic happen on me. A lot of it. The obsession to use was lifted. I received in abundance in this life, and I took it all for granted in my young, glorious days. And in hindsight, I see that. I see that very clearly. But it's all part of my process, my highly individual process. My character defects, the things that get in the way, my anartas. Let's call them anartas. Coming from Bhakti lens, we can call character defects anartas. If we don't want to ask God to remove them, then we're going to have to live with them and the consequences of those anartas. There's a lot of ways of dealing with that. You can stuff them, like I said, you can sweep them under the carpet of denial, and they'll come out some kind of weird way somehow. We can look at them and run away and try to chant them away and try to walk them away and try to relationship them away. We got to eat them away. We can do all of these other things to try to get them away. Use, distract, or we can look them square in the eye and say, God, Krishna, this is how I look right now. I'm a mess. This is how it looks. And these are my character defects. Please remove these from me. And I'm willing to walk the walk. That's what worked for me. I humbly ask God to remove my shortcomings. You know what, people? I forgot to talk about the word humble. Humbly ask God, then that changes everything, doesn't it? Humbly asking is coming in a way of a softer mood. I tend to be very rajasic. I'm also a lot of pitta and vata, which is fiery air, and getting frustrated and saying, God damn it, I want these removed. That's kind of a mood that self-sabotaging, and I have them. It's normal. But when I'm humbly asking God to remove my shortcomings, it's really in a place of recognizing them, right? We humbly ask, we know now through our fourth, fifth, and sixth step. Our fourth step by naming them, fifth step is sharing them, the sixth step is being willing to have them removed, and the second step is humbly asking Him. So we've been humbled in those steps, and with that mood of being humble, we ask Him, please, God, can you please remove these? I'm suffering, and I'm making other people suffer in my life because of them. My relationship to you is suffering through these character defects, through these anartas. And like I said, and humbly know that there might be some footwork involved in that. Yeah. And when we're in that mood of sweet surrender and being humble, then we could really safely say that we're ready then to make a list in the next step of step 8, to make a list of all people we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. And I always remind my sponsees to put their name at the very top of that list. And then God, and then anyone else. And not for guilt, but it's really just to make that list. Because I can guarantee you that all of the stuff that you've done in the 4-step, your resentments, the fear, the people involved in the resentments and fear, most of those people on your 4-step list will be on your 8-step list. Yeah. So that's it. That's the 7th step. We humbly ask God to remove these shortcomings, our shortcomings. And I'm looking forward to next week. Remember, there's so much stuff going on right now at the Bhakti Recovery Group. Good stuff. Really good stuff. We got new programs coming out. We've got real step study meetings going on. We will be having, stay tuned. I can't say it too soon yet, but there's other stuff going on, other offers going on, sponsorship workshops. What is a sponsee? How to be a sponsee? How to ask for a sponsor? What does it mean to work a program? All of these things are coming your way. Because what I have noticed at the Bhakti Recovery Group is that if you enter the Bhakti Recovery Group with not much 12-step experience, or you haven't been to a lot of, you haven't been in that world, a lot of the feedback I got from people who haven't are like, well, what do I do next? How do I do that? Or how do I ask? And for me, I just take it as I take it for granted, because I grew up in a 12-step, way, and I had to find my way through that. We didn't have courses like that. You just learned by doing. And, but today we have so many resources, and I aim and tend to use those resources, to help and support this community, to give away what was so freely given to me. And we're on it. I've got a team of people. I got the dream team people. I am so happy, who are just willing to help me through this. This is not something I'm doing alone. I'm getting so much help from people and helping me to spread this message of Bhakti recovery, Anartha recovery. So look out for that. All this stuff is happening. It's happening in the next few months. We just need to, of course, set up things and write proposals and get all those things clear. And I'm really looking forward to serving. And we've got so many other people who are just serving and serving behind the scenes. We love them. And when you show up to a meeting, it's service, it's sharing. And when you share in a meeting, it's caring. And I know that sounds very Care Bearish. I've got like a whole bunch of Care Bears in my head, like shooting the rainbows out of their little bellies. Remember the Care Bears? But yeah, so we're really building this community, and we're really, our doors are wide open. Please join our community anytime. And if you feel lost while showing up a meeting, like, what do I do next? Ask away. People write emails. Ask other people, what do you do? How do you do this? Until we have this stuff really set and offered, these offerings of courses and things to do, please feel free to join a meeting, ask. Don't worry, no one's judging anyone. Just show up. No one's judging. Everyone's wonderful and warm and welcoming. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Okay, and also, if you remember, we have something like a 7th tradition, which says that we are. I have it in German in my head. Self-supporting through our own contributions, and that means we are very, very much grateful for any support anyone might be willing to give. You go to our webpage and click the donate button. All of your money will be reinvested in this project, in this program, through courses, through materials, through time, through all kinds of, everything is used right back into the Bhakti Recovery Group in service, in loving service. All right, my friends, looking forward to next week in step 8, and for step 8, and I wish you guys a wonderful week. Hare Krishna.
Thanks for listening. I hope you liked the Monday Shorties. Don't forget to check out our full-length episodes on Thursdays. If you like what you heard, spread the word. Peace out.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.